On the world's longest undefended border, a new chapter in North American relations is being written, one marked by tension, strategy, and high-stakes diplomacy. A rare moment of clarity is unfolding, as the world watches two close allies navigate a crisis that could reshape their economic future. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney is refusing to be rushed into a new trade agreement with the United States, despite President Donald Trump's threat of a 35% tariff on all Canadian goods. The pressure is immense, and the stakes could not be higher. This is more than a negotiation. It's a calculated act of defiance against immense U.S. pressure, a bold stand that few expected from Canada's new leader. Carney, a veteran of global finance and former central banker, knows that a bad deal under duress would harm Canada more than temporary tariffs ever could. He's drawing on years of experience, weighing every risk and consequence. He's made it clear, Canada will not accept a deal at any cost, signaling a new, assertive chapter in Canadian foreign policy. This is a message not just to Washington but to the world. Canada will defend its interests with resolve. For Canada, where 75% of exports go to the U.S., the stakes are enormous. Every truck, every shipment, every job is on the line. This is a fight for economic sovereignty, not just over dairy quotas or auto parts, but for the right to negotiate as an equal. The outcome will affect families, industries, and the very fabric of Canadian society. Carney's refusal challenges the Trump administration's playbook of economic coercion, forcing both sides to reconsider their strategies and assumptions. The outcome will define North American trade for years to come, and send a powerful message to nations worldwide facing similar pressures. Sometimes, standing firm is the only way to protect your future. At the core of Carney's stance is a simple but powerful principle. Canada must protect its future, not just react to immediate pressures. Canada's long-term interests outweigh short-term relief. While the pressure to accept a quick deal is immense, Carney and his team recognize that the consequences would echo for generations. The Trump administration's proposed deal would permanently disadvantage Canadian industries and set a dangerous precedent of subordination. Key sticking points include not only economic concerns, but also the broader question of national identity and self-determination. Among the most contentious issues is dismantling Canada's supply management for dairy and poultry, a system that has supported Canadian farmers for decades and ensured food security. The U.S. is also demanding concessions on intellectual property and dispute resolution, pillars of Canadian economic policy that protect innovation and guarantee fair treatment in international disputes. Accepting these terms would undermine national sovereignty, eroding the ability of Canadians to make decisions for themselves and their economy. Carney's refusal is a declaration that Canada cannot be bullied into submission. It's a message to both Canadians and the world that principles matter more than expedience. He's betting that the integrated North American economy means tariffs will hurt the U.S. as well, disrupting supply chains, raising prices for American consumers, and ultimately causing pain on both sides of the border. By standing firm, Carney forces Washington to confront the consequences of its own aggressive policies, making it clear that Canada will not be an easy target. The hope that reality will lead to a fairer, more balanced negotiation, where both countries can prosper without sacrificing their core values. Facing Trump's divide-and-conquer tactics, Canada has recognized the importance of building strong alliances to protect its interests and maintain stability in North America. In this climate, Mexico has emerged as a crucial partner, sharing Canada's concerns about U.S. protectionism and the future of continental trade. Prime Minister Carney and President Claudia Sheinbaum have gone beyond symbolic gestures, working closely to coordinate their strategies and present a united front that Washington cannot easily divide or play against each other. Their alliance has fundamentally changed the nature of the dispute, transforming it from two isolated bilateral battles into a powerful trilateral challenge to U.S. protectionist policies. Carney and Sheinbaum have publicly reaffirmed their commitment to the USMCA, sending a clear message that they intend to uphold the spirit and letter of the agreement, while harmonizing their negotiation tactics to maximize their leverage. Both countries are now sharing sensitive information, aligning their positions on key issues, and developing joint responses, making it far more difficult for the U.S. to extract one-sided concessions or exploit divisions. Mexico is mobilizing its business leaders and industry groups to highlight the deep integration of North American supply chains, emphasizing how disruptions would hurt American workers and companies as much as their own. Canada mirrors this approach, directly engaging with American industries and state governments that would be hit hardest by tariffs, building pressure from within the U.S. itself. This partnership marks a significant shift from past competition to a new era of strategic cooperation between Canada and Mexico, strengthening their collective bargaining power. Their collective resolve now forces Trump to make a difficult choice: escalate the conflict on two fronts simultaneously, or return to the negotiating table and seek a more balanced solution. The message is clear: North America's other pillars will not stand by passively as the rules of trade are rewritten. Instead, they are ready to defend their interests and the future of the continent's economic partnership. Canada isn't waiting for the storm, it's building a fortress. Carney's government has prepared a list of retaliatory tariffs targeting U.S. goods to maximize political pressure while minimizing harm at home. The aim: create U.S. constituencies, from Midwest farmers to factory workers, who will push their own government to de-escalate. Canada is also readying financial aid and support for industries most at risk, ensuring workers aren't left behind. These measures help maintain national unity and political resolve. Beyond retaliation, Canada is accelerating trade diversification, strengthening ties with Europe and Asia to reduce reliance on the U.S. It's a long-term pivot, making the economy more resilient and giving Canada leverage in future talks. The message is clear: Canada is prepared for both the immediate fight and the future. The U.S. trade standoff is felt everywhere in Canada, from boardrooms to coffee shops. Business leaders face anxiety and uncertainty, especially in sectors like auto manufacturing where planning is paralyzed. Many urge a swift resolution, but there's growing consensus that Carney's tough stance is necessary. A bad deal would cripple Canada's future competitiveness more than temporary tariffs. On Main Street, Canadians are worried about jobs and prices, but there's also pride in standing up for sovereignty. This unity gives Carney political capital to hold firm. Even provincial leaders like Quebec's François Legault have rallied behind the federal government. The message to Washington, Canada is united, making it harder to divide and conquer. National resolve is now a powerful asset at the negotiating table. Carney's defiance is a high-wire act with real risks. A 35% tariff would hit Canada hard, especially in industries like autos, threatening jobs and triggering a downturn. Retaliatory tariffs could spiral into a prolonged trade war, harming both economies and eroding decades of integration. The fallout could extend beyond trade, straining security alliances like NORAD and Five Eyes. If economic pain grows, public support for Carney could evaporate, opening the door for political backlash. The gamble that Canadians will endure short-term hardship for long-term sovereignty. If that bet fails, Carney's government could fall, and his strategy could be reversed. The stakes are not just economic but political and geopolitical. This dispute is more than a regional spat, it's a test for the global economic order. Trump's tariff threats challenge decades of rules-based trade, watched closely by allies worldwide. If Canada capitulates, it sets a precedent. No country is safe from U.S. economic coercion. A successful Canadian stand would offer a blueprint for other nations to resist similar tactics. The outcome could either fragment the global system or reinforce multilateral cooperation. A North American trade war would disrupt global supply chains, slowing investment and growth. The world's largest free trade zone is at risk, and the consequences will ripple worldwide. How this ends will shape the future of international trade and alliances. The true significance of this standoff is how it will redefine Canada's identity and global role. Carney's refusal is a declaration of economic independence, asserting Canada's right to set its own policies. If Canada weathers the storm and secures a fair deal, it will earn new international respect as a middle power that stood its ground. The crisis is accelerating trade diversification, making Canada more resilient for the future. The Canadian approach, unity, alliances, preparation, and long-term vision, offers lessons for other nations. This is a defining moment. Canada is fighting not just for a better deal, but for the right to determine its own future. Whether Carney's gamble succeeds or fails, the U.S.-Canada relationship will be fundamentally changed. Canadians will see themselves and their place in the world differently. In this crucible, a new chapter of Canadian history is being forged, one of greater independence, resilience, and confidence.